Thank you guys for that. It's a great meeting spot. We're really proud of it here in Milton. I know most of you guys are like me. As you drove here, you probably thought, oh, I'm only 10 minutes away. And all of a sudden, you know, a bunch of traffic. So, you know, our first topic is we talk about TSPLOST. That's one of the biggest issues, probably that development that we as a city hear about and the concerns people have. So this is a very important topic that we're going to discuss tonight and talk about, and an item for that will be on the ballot. It's real interesting when you get a bunch of cities together and the county and you talk about dollars and infrastructure and how to come up with a plan to spend the money so that, number one, it's spread out fairly, also so that each city in the county gets treated fairly, and that also to work together so that each improvement in the different areas will tie in together and help out. So got to thank our sister cities, Fulton County, for all this, and all of our engineers and staff. There's been lots of meetings and a lot of time spent to make sure that these dollars allocated will benefit everybody. They don't just benefit, say, Roswell or Milton or whatever, because again, you fix traffic in one area, if it's not fixed somewhere else, it doesn't really help. So there's been a lot of time and effort that's gone in to try to come up with a plan that is efficient and helps everybody and spends the tax dollars wisely. The other thing is, and Todd Long with Fulton County is going to do a presentation, but the other thing that's nice about the TSPLOST is it's not just our tax dollars, it's everybody that comes and spends money in the county or in the counties and the city. So it's, it doesn't just come, it's not like a property tax or we're just get together, but it's everybody that uses our roads and our cities and our area actually pay for it. So, and again, this is an information. We're not advocating for it, but as elected officials, but this is information to give the public the information they need to make the decision. So, with that, I'll ask Todd Long to come in. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Great. Pleasure to be here today. This is an awesome library. Matter of fact, I tell people all the time, this is my favorite library. So who can tell me how many libraries Fulton County has? Not you, Paul. Don't speak up. There are 34 libraries in Fulton County. So this is the best, right? That's what the mayor says.
Yep.
Paul Kaplan, our chair of our board of trustees of libraries, is here tonight. Paul Kaplan, thank you for coming. And we opened up a new library in South Fulton, I guess, a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks.
We probably rival this one. It's very nice. If you're ever going down 85, going down toward Columbus, Flat Shoals exit, get off, and you immediately see the library. It's a beautiful place. So they have great meeting space just like this. It's a great place to have community events. So we're very, very thankful to have a place like this. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about TSPLOST. I'm going to give kind of the high-level overview. Then I'm going to turn it over to Carter Lucas and some of the other city folks to talk about Milton projects. But it's clearly very important to understand how the tax is set up, because it is quite unusual in the history of taxes in Georgia. All right? Get this right. Here we go. All right, so when this last General Assembly, there was a lot of debate about how to get a transportation sales tax passed in Fulton County. Because you might remember in 2012, how many of you were here in 2012? There was an attempt to do a regional tax of 10 counties around the region. And that tax did not actually do so well at the polls. In fact, if you go in Atlanta core, maybe it's okay, but if you go outside Atlanta, not so good. So they said, all right, let's allow counties to do individual tax on transportation, because we found out that what people want is they want projects that are very local to them, products that are locally picked by local elected leaders, and products that are locally delivered. So we structured a sales tax in Fulton County. The General Assembly let us do this. They said, all right, we're going to let Fulton be broken into two pieces, really almost three, but Atlanta in the middle is going to have the ability to pass their own sales tax for MARTA and their own TSPLOST. And then the rest of Fulton can go after a TSPLOST or sales tax. So this slide is really out of order. Probably should have shown you this one last. You guys are all looking at the numbers, I'm gonna go down and show you something quick, and we'll go back to those numbers. So if you take Fulton County, which is a strange shape county, right, from 70 miles from Indiana, Chattanooga Hills all the way up to Birmingham, right? So you essentially got two parts of the county that are doing a tax together. So South and North Fulton are going to do a tax together, and it's going to be 0.75 cents. That's the proposal, at least. It's up to the voters whether we do the tax. But it's the first time in the history of Georgia that we've ever done a fractional tax. Now, if you look in the history of Georgia, mostly rural counties have not wanted to do fractional taxes for TSPLOST, for regular SPLOST, because it's just not enough revenue. But this TSPLOST allows you to do a fractional, so we decided, as an elected group of mayors and everybody else, that we thought we'd do a fraction, and we thought 0.75 should be the amount. Atlanta, they said, well, they got permission to actually raise the tax on water. The city of Atlanta does. The rest of Fulton feel like we weren't ready for a tax on water yet, so no, we don't want that, we want just TSPLOST only. So Atlanta has the ability to do they're going to do a 0.4% sales tax, this proposal, and then a 0.5% MARTA tax. So together, in Atlanta, they potentially going to have a 0.9% sales tax together. Fulton County, though, the rest of Fulton, you'll get a ballot question that's specifically for the rest of Fulton, and it reads like this. In fact, there's the ballot question on the far left. And the people in the room next door are already voting on this. It says, shall an additional 0.75% sales tax be collected in the part of Fulton outside of the city of Atlanta for 5 years for the purposes of transportation improvements and congestion relief? Now, that question is pretty clear, but if you didn't see the map and understand how it works, so the voting block is essentially North and South Fulton together. So it's not, you're not voting as the city of Milton, you're not voting as the city of Sandy Springs, but you're voting those two blocks all together. And then the city of Atlanta is voting separate. So however city votes doesn't affect the rest of Fulton, or how Fulton votes doesn't affect the city of Atlanta. Got it? It can be confusing, I know. So let's go back now to this slide. The blue area, for 5 years, the proposed revenue is around $570 million. The TSPLOST for Atlanta would bring in less than that, but the MARTA tax is actually a long-term tax. It's a 40-year, just like the regular MARTA tax is. You may not know that. Your current MARTA tax that you pay now, it expires in the year 2057. But it's a long-term, that's because of the way the bond financing is, with transit projects, they have to have a long-term tax. But for us, this is a 5-year tax that ends in 5 years. And if you want to renew it, you've got to actually go through the whole process again, and you have to vote again. So it's just like other counties, you know, you go to Gwinnett, you go to Todd, your next door neighbors, they've been doing a SPLOST tax for years. They haven't done a TSPLOST, but they've been devoting a significant portion of their SPLOST to transportation projects. So in essence, they kind of had a transportation SPLOST, even though they didn't call it that. So now let's go back to this slide. So when the mayors got together, this was really a unique thing. All the mayors decided, okay, this money comes in, how do you best spend it? In other words, how do you decide we're going to spend more money in one area than another area because of the project types? And everybody said, wait a second, let's just split this up based on population. It's probably the fairest way. So we basically said, all right, Milton, your share of the population is 37,000 people. Now, 37,000 people out of the population for Fulton minus Atlanta, then your percentage was 6.5%. So therefore, your dollar amount is almost 37 million. Now you go back as a city, you decide what projects you want to put on your list. You go through, and I'll be honest, picking the projects was probably the easiest thing to do because every one of our cities had a transportation plan. They've got needs beyond the money they had, so coming up with a project list was not that difficult in general. Now I'm going to let the city talk about their project list. But so the dollar amount over 5 years for Milton will be that much. This money will be going straight to them as it gets collected every month into their bank account. They will be responsible for delivering those projects that account for this money. All right, so like I said before, the tax is 2017, but it starts, the way the bill reads, if you pass it successfully, it starts April 1st, the collections due of 2017, and will end March 31st, 2022. So this is a breakdown. I don't expect you to read these numbers over here, but when we didn't know what we were going to get at the end because we combined all the cities. You get kind of a hodgepodge of projects and ideas and thoughts from Sandy Springs to Milton. But if look at this. Well, I don't have it. The breakdown essentially was mostly in North Fulton, a lot of congestion relief, intersection improvement projects. South Fulton was more repair the roads that you do have. In other words, they got a lot of resurfacing needs, a lot of topping of roads that happened over the years. But in North Fulton, it was more of the congestion relief, a lot of pedestrian bike projects. And pedestrian bike projects are a little bit misleading because most of the road widening projects also have a pedestrian component to them. But the dollar amounts for those were all included. And pretty much the overall consistency was about what we expected at the end, where you had a nice mix of both congestion relief, safety projects, and rehab. So just a reminder, the voter registration deadline has come and gone. That's October 11th. Early voting started yesterday. I did get a report. I think, Commissioner, we had 15,000 people voted in Fulton County yesterday, which is a gigantic number, by the way, for early voting. By far, not even close. We've never had anywhere near that amount. We've got polling places all over the county. They run from 7 to 7, even open on Sundays. So you can come here in Milton to vote. How many people in here voted? Still a lot of folks haven't voted yet, right? So you'll have an opportunity. So you probably are asking, where is this ballot question on the ballot? Well, it's on the very end, toward the end. I'm not sure it's on the very end, but it's right at the end. So make sure you look at everything as you go through your ballot. Obviously, Election Day is November 8th. So that's kind of a quick overview of the big picture. And you'll do questions now, Mayor, or you want to wait to the end?
Probably wait till the end,
Okay.
because I imagine most folks want to hear about the specific project.
That's right. So let's get City of Milton folks up. Carter, Lucas, come on up.
And I'd just like to add too, Carter and Sarah, they have lived and breathed this for months and months, so they've done a lot of hard work to come up with a good plan.
Good evening. My name is Carter Lucas. I'm the Public Works Director with the City of Milton. I'm here tonight with Sarah Leader. She's our transportation engineer and kind of the brains behind the operation for this particular project. What we wanted to do tonight was go through some of the specifics on our TSPLOST list. We've been fortunate enough to be part of our transportation plan update when this process started. And so we had a lot of public input through that process. This gives you a little bit of idea of the public process that we went through with the transportation plan we call the CTP. And we rolled the TSPLOST projects into that so that we would get a good idea from the community about projects that would be important to them when looking at this type of sales tax. You can see from this, we had on our online responses, over 2,300 online responses to our surveys related to transportation. And that's a phenomenal number for us. So we were excited that we were getting a lot of good information and good feedback on where we should be going with this project. When we started to look at how those projects ranked out based on the questions that were asked in those surveys, vehicular travel, sidewalks and trails, connectivity, whether it's vehicular connectivity or pedestrian connectivity, and transportation safety. Those were our top 4 priorities within the community from the information that we received. Then we started to look at how that would relate to the TSPLOST. And some of the programs that you saw Todd relate in the TSPLOST programs are there on the left. So the intent of the tax was to target congestion relief, operational improvements, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, maintenance, safety, bridges, and quick response projects would be kind of that low-hanging fruit. Where are those projects that are out there that don't have a lot of design time, don't have a lot of right-of-way acquisition or easement acquisition, that we can go out and make some quick improvements? And so that's what we tried to go back through with our CTP. And I identify those projects that related to those categories within the TSPLOST that we could target. And so this is kind of how our projects broke down. Road widenings and new connections really targeted that congestion relief. Turn lanes, signals, roundabouts, other types of intersection type improvements were operational type aspects. Sidewalks and trails, additional paving, road and bridge repair. Now that's one of the ones that's very important to us. It's probably not one that a lot of you see. One of those items that once we get it done, it's open, it's buried, nobody sees these things, but that's a critical piece of our infrastructure that we've been looking at over the past couple of years, and is a very important component of not only our normal capital program, but the TSPLOST. And then the minor operational improvements, again, are those quick response type projects that we'll be looking at. So when we looked at the CTP results from our transportation results and how the community wanted to spend their money, this is how it broke down. Looking at those same types of categories, the operational, the congestion, maintenance, pedestrians, the CTP identified basically that pie chart as the breakdown. We were hoping that as we identified our TSPLOST project list, that those same breakdowns would apply, and our two project lists would marry up with the needs of the community. And you can see for the most part, it did that. And so as we developed, and Sarah will go through a little bit on the specific project list, but as we developed our TSPLOST list, we tried to keep that in line with the needs of the community and the input feedback that we've received up to that point. So I'm going to let Sarah kind of step through this, but just as a brief overview, our projects were broken down into Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 projects. Because this is a sale tax and the money that's generated from that is really an estimated revenue based on what we've seen in the past, we didn't want to say that we had a guaranteed pot of money that we were going to receive. And so it was broken down into 3 tiers. The Tier 1 would assume that we received 85% of the estimated revenue. So in our case, a little over $31 million. Tier 2 would then say, okay, if we got all the way to the 100% of the estimated revenue, here's some additional projects that we could do. And then finally in the Tier 3, if we were to get some additional revenue, if sales tax that were generated within the county was much more substantial than what we had estimated, we would have another pot of money that we could then do some additional projects with that money. And so with that, I'm going to let Sarah kind of go through the specifics of the projects that we've identified, and we'll be happy to answer questions once this is done.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Leaders, and I'm a transportation engineer for Milton. So these show the 3 tiers. Tier 1, we've got 2 widenings that are more of the regional projects. They connect with Alpharetta and a project Forsyth County is doing, and we'll show you a quick graphic on those. We've got 6 intersections in Tier 1, 1 bridge and new connector road, and then pedestrian improvements. Tier 2 was just another level of a couple intersections, pedestrian, and then Tier 3, we focused on some programs that we are doing already, but this would add additional funding to those paving and bridge, and then some quick fix type intersections. So this shows our 3 congestion relief projects. The Morris Road widening is intended to tie in with the McGinnis Ferry interchange at Georgia 400. The widening of McGinnis goes up to Bethany Bend, so this project would continue that to the existing 4-lane section just south of evaluating the concepts and getting public input before we move forward with design on these. But this is some of the operational type improvements you can see at some of the intersections we have identified. Sometimes it's just turn lanes without signals, sometimes roundabouts, sometimes signals, and then we're looking at a scenario for Hopewell Road at offset intersections of Bethany Bend and Bethany Way. We have our bicycle pedestrian improvements identified as just general bicycle pedestrian improvements, but for those funding types, we would look to our overall trail system as well as some priority loops and connections we identified in our transportation plan. So the map on the right, the green is the area we're looking to do improved multi-use type connections, basically from Bell Park at Hopewell and Thompson, all the way down to the Deerfield area. Then this slide shows looking at our current capital plan for the same 5-year period that the TSPLOST would be in place. These are the projects that, once we line through them, would not be funded under that current capital plan. So you can see that the impact of the additional revenues. Our programs would continue at the rates they're programmed at now. And we do have a website set up with project sheets on all the projects as well as some other information. connectmilton.com. And we have an overall map here that shows some of the projects that they're underway by others and the TSPLOST proposed projects.
Are you taking questions now, or you want to wait?
All right. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Mayor, did you want to, we'll do questions now?
Yeah,